A woman not wanting you doesn't mean she never will. It means you're showing up the wrong way. My friend, you know exactly how this feels. You like a woman, you try to talk to her, you put in effort, and she responds with cold energy, short replies, or polite distance. And instantly, you assume something is wrong with you, that you're not attractive enough, not interesting enough, not the guy she wants. But here's the truth no one ever taught you. A woman's lack of interest in the beginning isn't a permanent rejection, it's a reaction to the version of yourself she experienced. And the best part, that version can change. You've seen it before. A woman ignores one guy, then suddenly gets obsessed with another man who isn't better looking, richer, or funnier. Why? Because he triggers different emotions inside her emotions she can't control. Today, I'm going to show you exactly how to become that man. The man she respects, the man she gets curious about, the man she slowly can't stop thinking about. Not through chasing, not through begging, not through proving yourself, but through psychology, presence, and the masculine energy she's wired to respond to. This is where everything shifts for you. Let's get into it. Number 1. Stop chasing, make her notice. Listen, my friend. This is where most men lose the game before it even begins. Not because they're bad guys, not because they're unattractive, but because they chase. They lean in too fast. They show too much interest too early. And the moment a woman feels you trying to pull her toward you, she instinctively steps back. Not out of cruelty, out of psychology. Women are drawn to the man they notice, not the man who tries to convince them to notice him. And if you want proof, let me give you something real. Take Michael, 42, a solid guy with a good career, divorced, getting back into the dating world. He started talking to a woman named Olivia, 39, beautiful, smart, feminine. But the moment Olivia gave him a little attention, Michael did what most men do. He went all in. Rapid-fire texting, over-explaining his intentions, responding instantly, filling every silence. And guess what happened? Olivia didn't reject him. She just faded. She became busy. Her replies got shorter. The energy died, and Michael couldn't understand why. Now, let's break this down like men who want the truth, not sugarcoating. A woman can respect you. She can like talking to you. But the minute she senses you're chasing her, she loses curiosity. Because curiosity and attraction are tied together. Masculine energy moves with direction, certainty, and purpose, not pursuit. Feminine energy opens when it feels a man doesn't need her attention to feel like himself. That's why I tell men this all the time. When you remove the chase, she has room to feel the pull. Let's go deeper. In the beginning, attraction isn't built through effort. It's built through presence, through how you carry yourself, through the space you allow. When you chase, you're trying to fill the silence. But that silence is the exact thing she needs to wonder about you, to evaluate you, to imagine you. Now let me bring in another example to drive this home. There's a guy named Daniel, 55, divorced, works in real estate. He met a woman named Sarah, 47, at a charity event. He liked her right away. But instead of chasing, Daniel stayed in his masculine center, calm, collected, not cold, not rude, just centered. He gave her attention, then pulled back slightly. He let the moment breathe. He didn't rush. He didn't overwhelm. And what happened? Sarah leaned in. She initiated conversation. She asked follow-up questions. She tried to keep the energy going, because Daniel wasn't chasing, he was leading. And when a man leads, a woman follows naturally. Here's what you need to understand. A woman pays attention to the man who is not trying to win her attention. She feels safer, more intrigued, and more feminine around that type of man. Why? Because his energy says, I choose you, but I don't need you. And that is the energy of a man who becomes unforgettable. So if the woman you want doesn't seem interested, don't panic. Don't try harder. Don't send longer messages. Don't explain more. Step back. Return to your center. Focus on your purpose. Let your silence create gravity. And if you want to drop a comment to anchor this lesson in your mind, write, "I choose calm power." Stick with me. We're just getting warmed up. Number 2. Let silence pull her in. Listen, my friend. Most men completely misunderstand silence. They see it as danger. They feel uncomfortable the moment a woman stops talking, replies slower, or pulls her attention back even a little. And because they panic, they start doing too much. They text again. They explain themselves. They fill the space with nervous energy. But if you want a woman who wasn't interested to start seeing you differently, silence is not your enemy. Silence is your leverage. Silence is your masculine advantage. Women aren't drawn to men who constantly talk, chase, or try to prove something. They're drawn to men whose presence says more than their words ever could. And nothing communicates confidence more than being calm when things get quiet. Stoics understood this deeply. They treated silence as a form of strength. Seneca said, "Silence is a lesson learned through life's many sufferings," meaning silence isn't what weak men fall into. It's what strong men choose. And that's exactly how you must start using it, because silence does things talking can't. Silence creates mystery. Silence makes her wonder. Silence forces her mind to fill in the gaps. A man who isn't afraid of silence becomes unpredictable in the best possible way. She starts asking herself, why doesn't he rush? Why isn't he chasing? What is he thinking? What else does he have going on? And once a woman starts thinking about you, she starts feeling you. Let me break down why silence works so powerfully. When she replies short, most men compensate. They send paragraphs, jokes, explanations, follow-ups. All of it comes from fear. But when you don't react emotionally, she feels the difference instantly. Your stillness challenges her. It disrupts her expectations. It forces her to reconsider you. When a conversation slows down, most men rush to fill the air. But when you let the moment breathe, you show maturity. You show emotional control. You show that the moment doesn't control you, you control the moment. Marcus Aurelius put it perfectly. If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it. Apply this directly. Don't speak from insecurity. Don't text from anxiety. Don't reach out because you fear losing her. Silence communicates something far more powerful than words. I am not moved by uncertainty, and that is rare. But here's where most men fail. They try to use silence as manipulation instead of alignment. They pretend to be calm, but inside they're checking their phone every 3 minutes. That isn't silence. That's panic dressed as patience. Women can feel that. Real silence comes from being grounded, centered, and comfortable with yourself. When you truly don't need to force the moment, she feels it in the tone of your messages, in the timing, in your energy. And that's when silence becomes attraction, not distance. Because when a woman realizes a man won't break, won't chase, won't beg, and won't collapse under pressure, she becomes the one who leans forward. She becomes the one who reopens conversations. She becomes the one who invests again, not because he demanded it, but because his quiet strength pulled her in. If this hit, you drop a comment saying, "I hold my ground. Stay with me." The next insight will reshape how you show up as a man. Number 3. Become rare, become desired. My friend, let's slow this down and be honest for a second. Women don't fall for the man who's always available, always eager, always ready to drop everything. They fall for the man who carries an energy that feels rare. Not rare as in hard to get, but rare as in not every woman gets access to me. That kind of rarity hits a woman in a way she feels in her body before she ever admits it in her mind. Let me show you what I mean with a real-world picture. Take James, 55, a successful contractor from Colorado. He's the kind of man who worked his whole life, built a solid career, and finally reached the point where he values his peace more than attention. At a family barbecue, he meets Michelle, 51, a warm, feminine, grounded woman who hasn't felt real chemistry with a man in years. Now James doesn't chase, he doesn't hover, he doesn't try to impress. He listens, he speaks slowly, he leaves space, he stays in the moment. And here's what happens. Michelle leans in. Her eyes follow him even when he's not looking. She notices when he laughs, how he stands, how he holds himself, and she feels something most women his age rarely feel around men anymore: curiosity mixed with desire. Why? Because James feels rare. He's not rare because he's perfect. He's rare because he's not desperate. He's rare because he's selective. He's rare because he doesn't need her attention to confirm who he is. A woman notices that instantly, and it creates the kind of sexual tension that doesn't cross any lines, but lingers underneath the surface, the way a low hum fills a quiet room. She isn't drawn to him because he chases her. She's drawn because he doesn't. Here's where most men mess up. They think being rare means disappearing, being cold, or acting uninterested. That's not what I'm talking about. Being rare means your life is full. Your purpose is bigger than her validation. Your energy is not free for the taking. Let's break it down clearly. A rare man has a schedule. A rare man has commitments. A rare man has passions, goals, hobbies, standards. A rare man doesn't bend his entire world just because a woman replies to his message. And a woman feels that difference immediately. It stirs something in her. When a man's time is valuable, she treats it differently. When a man's attention is earned, not handed out, she becomes more intentional. When a man doesn't flood her with emotional neediness, she starts wondering about him. Wonder builds intrigue. Intrigue builds attraction. And yes, my friend, attraction builds desire. Women crave the emotional experience of earning a man's interest. It makes them feel alive. It makes them feel feminine. It makes them feel invested. When you're rare, you allow her to lean into that natural feminine instinct instead of crowding it with your availability. This doesn't mean you play games. It means you stay rooted in who you are. You show up fully when you choose to show up, but you don't chase approval. You don't rush connection. You don't collapse your standards because you find her beautiful. Your rarity is your value. Your value is your power. And your power is the source of her desire. Now, before we move to the next piece of this puzzle, lock this mentality in by dropping one line in the comments: I choose my value. And stay with me, because what comes next deepens this shift even further, in a way most men never experience, but always wish they had. Number 4. Stay mysterious. Stay irresistible. My friend, let me tell you something simple but brutally true. Women don't fall for the man who reveals everything. They fall for the man who reveals just enough to make her want more. And this is where so many guys unknowingly sabotage themselves. The moment they get the slightest attention from a woman, they open the floodgates. They overshare. They explain every detail of their day. They reveal every emotion, every insecurity, every thought that crosses their mind. And what happens? The mystery evaporates. The tension disappears. The chase dies instantly. Women are drawn to men who carry a sense of depth, a sense of quiet confidence, a sense of there is more to him than he shows. When a woman can't fully figure you out, her mind stays engaged, her curiosity stays active, and curiosity is one of the strongest emotional triggers for attraction. Here's what you need to understand. Mystery is not about being distant, cold, or secretive. It's about being selective. It's about revealing layers slowly in a natural way. It's about letting her feel your presence without handing her the entire map to who you are. Stoicism speaks directly to this. Marcus Aurelius said, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." He meant that a man who controls what he reveals controls the energy he radiates. Your mystery isn't a trick. It's a disciplined way of carrying yourself. When you move with intention, not impulse. When you speak only when it adds value. When your emotions stay grounded instead of exposed on demand. You naturally become harder to read. And men who are harder to read are effortlessly attractive. This is why women get hooked on men who don't overshare. It's not that they're aloof. It's that their emotional world isn't thrown around casually. A mysterious man gives glimpses, not confessions. He shows strength through calmness. He lets silence do part of the talking. And don't get it wrong, mystery doesn't mean being uninterested. In fact, when you pair mystery with warmth, you create the perfect balance. She feels your energy, but not your desperation. She senses your attention, but not your need. She experiences you, but she can't fully define you. That's what makes her think about you when you're not around. That's what creates feminine longing, that slow burn feeling she can't put into words. Women find mystery intoxicating because it allows their imagination to participate. When a man gives everything away too quickly, there is nothing left for her to discover. But when you keep parts of your world unfolding slowly, she stays emotionally tied to the experience of learning you. And here's the truth. The more she has to wonder, the more she has to feel. The more she has to feel, the more she invests. My friend, mystery is your quiet superpower. Use it wisely. If this hits you, drop a comment saying, "I move with intention." And listen, if you want deeper guidance, the kind of insights I can't fully share here, consider joining the membership. You'll get access to weekly lessons, advanced breakdowns, and tools that sharpen your masculine presence on a whole different level. Stick with me, because what comes next strengthens the foundation you're building. Number 5. Never compete for her attention. My friend, here's a truth. Most men learn too late. The moment you compete for a woman's attention, you've already lost her interest. A woman can feel instantly when a man is trying to outshine other guys, prove himself, or fight for a place in her mind. And nothing kills masculine presence faster than that energy. Women are wired to desire the man who stays rooted in himself, not the man trying to outperform the crowd. Let me show you exactly what I mean through something you've probably seen in real life. There's a guy named Jason, 48, from Colorado. Solid career, good heart, stable energy. He liked a woman named Brooke, 44. Confident, attractive, socially active. One night at a dinner event, Brooke was talking to another man, friendly, nothing serious, but Jason felt threatened, so he tried harder. He spoke louder. He inserted himself into conversations. He tried to be funnier, smarter, more impressive. And what happened? He faded. Because the moment he started competing, he stopped being himself. Brooke felt the shift immediately. The grounded man she first noticed vanished, and a performative, insecure version replaced him. Now let's flip it. There's another man at that same event, Robert, 51. Quiet confidence. He wasn't trying to impress Brooke. He wasn't interrupting. He wasn't chasing validation. He stayed relaxed, talking to others, moving at his own rhythm. And because he wasn't competing, Brooke became curious about him. His calmness made him stand out far more than Jason's effort ever could. That is psychology. That is attraction. That is why competing always backfires. Women aren't impressed by a man who tries to win their attention. They're drawn to the man who makes her wonder, why isn't he trying? Why does he seem so settled in himself? What is going on in his world that makes him so unconcerned with impressing me? That curiosity is desire's doorway. Here's the secret. Attention you fight for loses value. Attention you receive without effort becomes irresistible. Competing is rooted in fear. Fear of losing, her fear of being overshadowed, fear of not being enough. But fear is something women feel instantly, even when you think you're hiding it. True masculine presence is rooted in abundance, not abundance of women, but abundance of self-respect, purpose, and emotional stability. A man with abundance doesn't chase rooms. He doesn't compete with other men. He doesn't audition for approval. He knows who he is, and that quiet certainty does more for him than any performance ever will. This is why when a woman mentions other men, the weak guy tries to compare. The grounded man just listens, stays calm, and remains unfazed. She feels the difference in her body. One man reacts, the other stays rooted. And the rooted man becomes the one she thinks about later. If you want to stand out without lifting a finger, master this: let other men compete. Let them try to impress her. Let them chase the spotlight. Your power grows the moment you refuse to play that game. Because the man who competes looks up to the woman. The man who doesn't compete stands level with her. And women always feel the difference. If this speaks to you, drop a comment saying, "I don't compete." Stick with me, because what comes next will shift how you carry your presence around every woman you meet. Number 6. Confidence. She feels in her body. All right, my friend. This one matters more than most men want to admit. Women don't respond to confidence, you say. They respond to confidence they can feel. I'm not talking about flexing, bragging, or walking around like you're the best thing on earth. I'm talking about that grounded, settled, calm, masculine energy a woman notices the second you walk into a room. This type of confidence doesn't live in your words. It lives in your posture, your breathing, your timing, your silence, your presence. And trust me, women feel it in their bodies long before they understand it in their minds. Most men try to look confident. The rare man simply is confident. And that difference hits a woman on a deeper level than anything you could say. Here's what you need to understand. True confidence is not loud. True confidence is not exaggerated. True confidence is not performance. Stoicism nails this perfectly. Epictetus wrote, "Seek not the good in external things, seek it in yourselves." A confident man doesn't need external reactions to validate his energy. His confidence comes from being rooted, controlled, intentional. He is not moved by the moment. He directs it. Women can sense this even in small things. The way you make eye contact, slow, relaxed without searching for approval. The way you speak, measured, steady, not rushing to fill silence. The way you sit, grounded, open, unshrinking. The way you listen, without fidgeting, without anxiously reacting. Confidence doesn't scream, it radiates. And women feel that radiation in a very physical way. Think about it. A man who is nervous makes her tense. A man who is insecure makes her guarded. A man who doubts himself makes her pull back. But a man who is rooted, a man who breathes slowly, a man who doesn't chase, a man who doesn't rush, that man relaxes her body. That man makes her soften. That man feels like safety and intensity at the same time. That is where attraction starts, not in your jokes, not in your muscles, not in your money, but in how your energy hits her nervous system. A confident man doesn't need to push. He lets his presence do the heavy lifting. And here's the key. Women feel confidence as certainty, not arrogance. Certainty in your direction, certainty in your decisions, certainty in your self-worth, certainty in your value, even when she hasn't fully noticed you yet. When you move without hesitation, without neediness, without fear, she senses it. She feels it in her chest, in her breath, in that subtle shift of attention she can't hide, even if she tries. This is why you must stop trying to prove you're confident. Just be the man who knows who he is. Speak less, observe more, move with intention, pause before reacting, because confidence is not something you put on like a jacket. It's something you carry like a pulse. And when a woman feels that pulse, that steady masculine presence, her respect rises, her curiosity grows, and her attraction deepens in a way that feels almost instinctive. If this speaks to you, drop a comment saying, "I walk in confidence." Don't go anywhere. The next part will take this energy and turn it into real pull she can't ignore. Number 7. Make her fear losing you. My friend, listen closely, because this is one of the deepest truths in female psychology. A woman desires you most when she realizes you are a man she could lose. Not because you play games, not because you act cold, but because your life, your purpose, and your standards are bigger than her attention. That's the kind of presence women cannot ignore. Most guys think the opposite. They believe chasing harder, texting faster, showing more enthusiasm, proving their loyalty, or bending their schedule will somehow win her over. But all that does is signal one thing: she already has you. And when a woman feels like she has you without effort, desire evaporates. Curiosity dies. Your value collapses in her eyes. But when you're a man who lives fully, who respects his time, who moves with purpose, she feels something very different. She feels that your presence is earned, that your attention has weight, that your interest is real but not desperate. That combination creates a soft, feminine fear, the kind that makes her lean in instead of pull away. Let me make it real for you. There's a guy named Ethan, 28, living in Austin. Solid job, solid routine. He meets Jess, 26, a woman who's used to being chased without doing a thing. At first, she sees Ethan the same way she sees most men: nice, polite, maybe interesting. But then she notices something unusual. He doesn't orbit around her. He doesn't text her back in seconds. He doesn't shapeshift to match her mood. He shows interest, but he doesn't abandon himself. And that throws her off in the best way. When Jess texts him last minute to hang out expecting the usual male excitement, Ethan simply says he'd like to see her but not tonight. He already has plans. Not as a tactic, not as a test. Just a man who respects his own commitments. That moment hits her body like a spark. For the first time she wonders where he is, why he's not instantly available, and why she can't stop thinking about him. She feels a subtle but powerful shift. If I don't show up, I might lose this man. That's the feminine fear I'm talking about. Not fear of abandonment, but fear of losing access to the masculine energy she feels safe around. The calm, the certainty, the presence. Once she feels that, everything changes. She invests more. She initiates more. She pays attention in a way she didn't before. And here's the real reason why women don't desire men they can control. They desire men they must choose wisely before another woman does. That's why your job is not to convince her. Your job is to live in a way that naturally forces her to recognize your value. A man who is grounded. A man who moves with direction. A man who is perfectly fine with or without her. That is the man she fears losing. And fear of losing you respectfully, maturely, quietly is one of the strongest attraction triggers a woman can feel. Now, my friend, before we move forward, I want you to anchor this mindset. Drop a comment and claim it with one powerful line: I choose myself. Simple, direct, masculine. And stay with me, because what's coming next sharpens your presence in a way most men never learn. But once you do, everything about the way women respond to you shifts. Number 8. Shift power back to yourself. My friend, let me tell you something most men never realize until it's too late. When a woman isn't interested, when she's distant, cold, distracted, or barely giving you the time of day, the worst thing you can do is try harder. Trying harder is exactly how you hand her all your power. And once she feels that power imbalance, attraction shuts down instantly. Not because she's cruel, not because she wants to hurt you, but because feminine energy cannot be pulled toward a man who abandons himself. Here's the truth. Every time you chase over text, explain yourself, seek her approval, or try to fix her lack of interest, You're telling her without saying it that your entire emotional state depends on her. That is the fastest way to erase desire. Women are wired to feel drawn to men who are rooted, anchored, internally stable, not men who react to every shift in her mood. And this is where Stoicism becomes your greatest weapon. Marcus Aurelius said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." That line is more than philosophy, it's a roadmap for masculine strength. Because when a woman's interest fades, the event is external. Her behavior is external. Her silence is external. But your response, your energy, your standards, your sense of worth that belongs to you. Most men lose themselves in the illusion that they can win her back by showing more effort. But effort without self-respect doesn't build attraction, it drains it. Real power returns the moment you stop performing for her attention and start acting from your center. Power isn't about being cold. It's not about ignoring her or punishing her emotionally. Power is choosing yourself without asking for permission. Let me paint it clearly. When you shift power back to yourself, your energy changes. You talk slower, you move slower, you respond from a grounded place instead of a needy place. You stop trying to impress and simply express. You stop chasing connection and start valuing your presence. You stop making her the prize and start becoming the man who creates the experience. A woman feels that shift in her body immediately. She senses when you're no longer trying to pull her in. She senses when you're no longer triggered by her distance. She senses when you've reclaimed your emotional space. This is where desire gets reborn, not because you manipulated her, but because you stopped making her your source of validation. And here's the part most men underestimate. When you shift the power dynamic back to yourself, you automatically become more attractive. Your silence feels intentional, not insecure. Your presence becomes heavier. Your time becomes more valuable. Your energy becomes something she has to rise to meet. Women respect and desire the man who respects himself first. It also protects you. When your emotional balance depends on you, not on her interest, you stop fearing rejection. You stop fearing distance. You stop fearing the outcome. You become more like the Stoic warriors who lived by a simple truth: no one can take what you do not hand them. And most men hand women their power without even realizing it. But not you, not anymore. Now, before we close this section, I want you to claim this shift internally. Drop a comment with one strong line: "I hold my power." And stay with me, because the next insight deepens this transformation in a way most men never experience. But once you do, the entire dynamic between you and women changes forever. Number 9. Lead with calm. Masculinity. Listen, folks, every man wants to be desired, respected, and taken seriously by women. But most men make a fatal mistake. They lead with urgency instead of calm. They lead with tension instead of presence. And the moment a woman feels that frantic energy, her interest drops. Not because she's judging you, but because the feminine instinctively pulls toward masculine stillness. Let me show you how real this is with something you've definitely seen before. A guy like Mark, 52, meets a woman like Lena, 48, at a friend's birthday dinner. Lena is warm, classy, feminine, in that effortless way women in their 40s tend to be. Mark likes her immediately, but instead of letting things unfold, he jumps in too quickly. He talks too fast. He laughs too loud. He leans in too much. He sends a wall of energy at her. And you can see it in her body language. She slowly pulls back, not because she dislikes him, but because he overwhelms her nervous system. Her body is looking for something calm, grounded, steady, something that reads as masculine safety, not masculine pressure. Now look at the opposite scenario. A man who leads with calm masculinity moves differently. He doesn't rush to fill silence. He doesn't try to prove anything. He listens, really listens. His eye contact is steady but not invasive. His speech has weight, not noise. His presence alone makes her feel something deep in her chest, something warm, something open, something curious. Women in their 40s and 50s feel this even faster than younger women. They've lived enough life to know what chaos feels like. They've dealt with insecure men, dramatic men, controlling men, emotionally volatile men. What they crave now is a man whose calm is so anchored that it settles their mind and awakens their feminine energy at the same time. That's the magic combination. Her calm meets his calm, but her feminine softness opens because of his masculine stillness. Here's the part most men don't realize. Calm masculinity isn't passive. It's not low effort. It's not doing nothing. It's the discipline of managing your internal world so well that nothing external knocks you off balance. When she tests you, because women test naturally, you don't flinch. When she pulls back slightly, you stay composed. When she gets emotional, you stay steady. When she wants to feel your leadership, you don't hesitate. This is the masculine energy that turns a neutral woman into an interested woman, and an interested woman into a captivated one. Attraction begins in her mind, but desire is born in her body, and her body responds not to your words, but to your energy. Calm masculinity has a sexual undertone too, but it's subtle. It's in how you breathe, how you pause before speaking, how you look at her like you're reading the room and reading her at the same time. It's the way you give her space but make her feel magnetized toward yours. And here's the twist. When you lead with calm masculinity, she becomes the one leaning in. She becomes the one asking questions. She becomes the one trying to get closer, because a grounded man creates emotional gravity, and emotional gravity pulls women in every single time. Now, before we move on, I want you to reinforce this energy inside yourself. Drop one line in the comments, "I move with calm." And stick with me, because what we're about to uncover next shifts the entire dynamic between you and women in a way most men never master. This next insight hits deeper than confidence and deeper than attraction. You'll understand why soon. Number 10. Make her want to win you. My friend, here is the part most men never truly understand. Attraction isn't just about making a woman like you. It's about creating a dynamic where she feels inspired to invest, to show effort to meet your standard, and yes, to compete for a place in your world. Not because you're playing games, but because you've become a man who carries himself in a way that naturally makes women step forward instead of pulling away. Women don't fall for men who chase. They fall for men they feel privileged to attract. There's a difference, and it's massive. When you want a woman who doesn't seem interested, your instinct might be to prove your value to her. But the moment you try to prove anything, you lower yourself. You place her on a pedestal she didn't even ask for, and you train her without realizing it to see you as an option she doesn't need to work for. But when you become the man who is selective, grounded, composed, and purpose-driven, everything changes. You stop hoping for her interest and start allowing her to earn a place in your world. That shift alone awakens something ancient in feminine psychology, the desire to win the attention of a man she respects. Think about it. Every woman has been chased. Every woman has been overpraised. Every woman has had men fold at the slightest hint of beauty or affection. But very few women encounter a man who values himself enough to require reciprocity. Not demand it, not pressure it. Simply require it as a natural part of who he is. This is where masculine power becomes magnetic. See, when you're calm, contained, rare, purposeful, and emotionally disciplined, your presence alone forces a woman to ask herself a question she almost never asks. Am I doing enough for him? That question is the beginning of pursuit. That question is the beginning of curiosity. That question is the beginning of desire. And here's what makes this powerful without being manipulative. You're not making her insecure. You're not withholding affection to gain control. You're not creating artificial distance. You're simply living in a way that sends one clear message: I choose carefully, and I won't hand my energy to someone who hasn't shown she can hold it. That's what makes women want to win you. Women who are mature, feminine, and emotionally aware feel this deeply. They crave a man whose world is meaningful enough that being part of it matters. They don't want a man who bends instantly. They want a man who is warm but solid, receptive but grounded, open but not desperate. Masculinity at its highest level is not loud, it's not aggressive, it's not controlling. It's a quiet confidence that says, I don't chase what isn't choosing me. And paradoxically, that attitude makes women choose you faster than anything you could say or do. A woman desires a man she can respect. Respect comes from standards. Standards come from self-worth. And self-worth is demonstrated in your behavior, not your words. When you embody that, you flip the entire dynamic. She goes from evaluating you to wanting to be evaluated by you. She goes from analyzing your interest to trying to earn it. She goes from passive with you to active toward you. This final rule isn't about manipulation. It's about alignment. When you stop trying to win a woman, she starts paying attention. When you stop pouring your value outward, she starts feeling your value inward. When you stop asking for a chance, she starts wanting one. And that, my friend, is the moment desire becomes mutual, alive, and effortless, because she's no longer just looking at you, she's trying to win you. We've covered the 10 shifts that turn you from the man who chases into the man women feel pulled toward. Every idea in this video is designed to help you regain your center, rebuild your value, and step into the kind of masculine presence that creates real desire, not forced attention. If you want to go deeper and learn the advanced tools I don't share publicly, make sure you join the channel membership. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button so you never miss tomorrow's video. Thanks for watching, my friend. I appreciate you being here, and I'll see you tomorrow.